بسم الله إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. What chapter are we going to do today? We finished zakah, so we move on to Siyam, right? Siyam. Linguistically, the word sama means to abstain from. To abstain from, okay? Linguistically. From a Sharia perspective, Sawm means to abstain from factors that break your Sawm, which are called in Arabic al-mufattirat, or al-muftirat, excuse me. Al-muftirat, okay? To abstain from these factors from dawn until sunset. And we're going to discuss the muftirat in the next section, inshallah. Okay, so what is the linguistic meaning of the word Sawm? To abstain from, right? To avoid. This is why, for example, Maryam says in the Quran that I have inni nadartu lirrahmani sawman. I have vowed to fast. A fast of Allah that I'm not going to speak. In other words, he's going to stop from speaking. Abstain from speaking for a day and a night. Okay? And from a Sharia perspective, Imran, what is the definition of Sawm? Which you didn't take. From the al-muftirat, the factors that break your fast, okay? From dawn until sunset, okay? Now, the fasting of Ramadan is obligatory upon every Muslim who is of age. Number one, he has to be a Muslim. Number two, of age, baligh, right? Number three, sane. Number four, he is capable of fasting, okay? Every single Muslim who is of age and sane and capable of fasting, then it is obligatory upon him to fast the month of Ramadan. As for the child, then he should be commanded to fast when he is capable of doing so. Okay, and many scholars say at the age of 7, when they are commanded to pray, till the age of 10 they should be forced to fast, but in the sense forced to, but not made a big deal, and after 10, physically force them to fast until they reach the age of puberty, so that they ingrain in them the aspect of fasting, okay? And many people, by the way, they feel that, a 6-7-year-old is too young to fast, okay? Now, alhamdulillah, my parents made me start fasting when I was 6 years old, and when I was 7, since this day, I haven't missed a day of Ramadan. 7 years old, so 7 years of age, So I'm just telling you personally, I know I fasted more than half the month when I was 6. And when I was 7, I fasted the full month, I think maybe 28 or 29 days, So the thing is, I'm not saying this stuff for Allah to praise myself. I'm saying, no, this is not true. I went through it. I was 6-7 years old and I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, you like it and people shower presents on you. You have a fun time as a kid. Don't have this type of false love that you think that your child's too young to pray Fajr or too young to fast. No. The Sahaba, they would make their children fast. They were so young, they would cry out of hunger. They would give them toys to play with. So they're beyond 7, 8 now. They're below 7, 8. There must be like 4 or 5 where you have to give them a toy that they're going to play with. That's going to distract them from their hunger. This is Sahih Bukhari. The Sahaba would make their children fast when they were so young that they would cry. So they would give them toys to play with to make their mind go elsewhere and not to cry about that. Okay? Now, how do we start the month of Ramadan? When does the month of Ramadan start? There are 3 ways by which we know the ending of the month of Ramadan. One of 3 ways. The first way is that we've completed Sha'ban for 30 days. Sha'ban is the month before Ramadan. Everyone knows the months of the Muslim calendar or no? Who does not know the months of the Muslim calendar? A lot of people, okay. So you should write this down as a footnote then, because this is important, okay? What's the first month of the Muslim calendar? Muharram. Second month? Safar. Second month, Safar. Muharram, Safar. Third month, Rajab. Okay? Fourth month? No, Sha'ban, you're going wrong. Muharram, Safar, Rajab, Jama'ad al-Awwal, Jama'ad al-Thani, right? And, no, I'm forgetting something, subhanAllah. Rabi' al-Awwal, Rabi' al-Thani, that's the one, yeah. Muharram, Safar, Muharram, Safar, third, come on guys, Musharaka, get some, no, third month. Rajab, fourth month. Hafiz Sahab. Rabi' al-Awwal, fourth month, Rabi' al-Awwal, okay? Second or fifth month is Rabi' al-Thani or Rabi' al-Akhir. Both are out. The first Rabi', the second Rabi'. Sixth month, Jamad al-Awwal, the first Jamada. Seventh month, Jamad al-Thani, the second Jamada, okay? Eighth month, which is the month before Ramadan, Rajab. Where are you getting from? Huh? Shawwal is the month before Ramadan. Sha'ban, guys, come on, this is sad, man. Sha'ban is the month before Ramadan, okay? Sha'ban is the month before Ramadan. The ninth month is, everyone's got to know the ninth month. Ramzan, yes, Ramzan, okay? Make sure you're right with the za, huh? It's Ramadan. Same thing, huh? Ramadan, okay? 10th month is Shawwal. 11th month, Dhul Qa'dah. 12th is, huh? Dhul Hijjah, okay? Dhul Hijjah. So these are 12 months. Who can repeat them? Yusuf, repeat them. Huh? Oh, you didn't come, okay. Huh? Well, you know them. What are the 12 months, Yafi? Yes, you. You didn't write them down? Okay, I'll repeat them. The first month is Muharram. Second month, Safar. Third, Rajab. Fourth, Rabi' al-Awwal. Fifth, Rabi' al-Thani. Sixth month, Jamad al-Awwal. Jamad al-Awwal. Seventh month, Jamad al-Thani. Okay? Eighth month, Sha'ban. Not Shawwal, Sha'ban. Don't get confused. I know they both start with Sheen, okay? But Sha'ban. Ninth month, Ramadan. 10th month, Shawwal. 11th, Dhul Qa'dah. And 12th, Dhul Hijjah. Okay? So, you are absolutely right. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Made a big fool out of myself. Jazakallah khair, akhi. It is Muharram, Safar, Rabi' al-Awwal, Rabi' al-Thani, Jamad al-Awwal, Jamad al-Thani, Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan. Exactly, because Rajab comes between Jamad al-Thani and MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. A'udhu billah. Huh? Yes, we made a mistake. The brother corrected us. Okay? We made a mistake. Muharram, Safar, Rabi' al-Awwal, Rabi' al-Thani, Jamad al-Awwal, Jamad al-Thani, Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan, Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, and Dhul Hijjah. This is the order of the 12 months of the Islamic calendar. Inshallah, any more corrections, or is that it? You sure there's no mistakes? That was a big mistake. Big boo-boo there. Okay. Jazakallah khair. Two errors human. Tayyib. We move on that Ramadan starts with one of three things. Okay? The first thing is that when is Sha'ban occur? Before Ramadan. When Sha'ban is completed with 30 days. When you complete Sha'ban 30 days, automatically Ramadan starts. Obviously, because in the Islamic calendar, how long is the month? 29 days or 30 days. Never is it 31 or more. The Islamic calendar, every single month is either 29 or 30, depending on when the moon is sighted. Okay? So, when you have not sighted the moon on the 29th of Sha'ban, this means that there is a 30th of Sha'ban. When there is a 30th of Sha'ban, that means that the next day will be the first of Ramadan. So the first way Ramadan starts is when you don't see the moon on the 29th of Sha'ban. What does that imply when you don't see the moon on the 29th, Abdul Rahman? It means that Sha'ban is automatically 30 days, which means that the next day is Ramadan. So on the night of the 30th Sha'ban, do you have to see the moon or not? Yes or no? Think. Don't just parrot everyone around you. Think. On the night of the 30th Sha'ban, do you have to see the moon or not? Why? Exactly. There can never be 31 days. There's no point in seeing the moon on 30th. So after 30 days of Sha'ban, you don't have to go on top of your roofs and look around if you see the moon or not. Doesn't matter. The next day is Ramadan. That's the first way that Ramadan is started. The second way is that when you see the moon on the 29th of what? Sha'ban. Not Shawwal. You're getting after Ramadan. Sha'ban. 29th of Sha'ban. When you see the moon on the 29th, what does that mean? That the month is only 29 days and the next day will be Ramadan. So therefore, on the 29th of Sha'ban, that's when you should eagerly be looking up, especially around or before, yarhamkumullah, Maghrib time. Because the birth of the new moon occurs right after Maghrib, or Maghribish, if you like. Okay? 5-10 minutes, you will see the new moon, and that's it, it will disappear. Okay? So if you go an hour after Maghrib, there's no point even going. You won't see the new moon. Okay? The new moon occurs right at that time, after the Maghrib prayer. Okay, so you see then, the second way that Ramadan starts is when you see the moon on the 29th. The third way that you say that Ramadan starts is when it is cloudy on the 29th. When you cannot see the moon on the 29th, you automatically assume, what do you assume? That it will last 30 days. Okay, you automatically assume it will last 30 days. This is based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Fast when you see the moon, and break your fast when you see the moon. Okay? Fast when you see the moon, and break your fast when you see the moon. But if it is cloudy, then فَقْدِرُ لَهُ, rough translation would be, let it go on, complete it out. In other words, complete what out? Complete the 30 days of Sha'ban out. Okay? So then there are three scenarios we said. Either the 29th is clear, and you could not see the moon, in that case, 30th is Sha'ban, and the Ramadan will be the next day. Or the 29th was clear, and you saw the moon, in which case the next day is Ramadan. If it was the 29th night, and it was cloudy, you could not see the moon at all. In this case, you presume that the Sha'ban would continue, and you fast, the next day will be the 30th, and you fast the day after that. Okay? So this is how Ramadan starts. Okay, how many people have to see the moon? How many people have to see the moon? 1, 2. Anyone says 3? Higher, higher? Huh? At least 3. 4 women. You're serious? No, there's a difference opinion concerning 1 man or 2 men. How many have to see the moon? And for the moon of the beginning of Ramadan and the moon at the end of Ramadan, both of them, you have to see the moon, right? So the correct opinion, to make a long story short, because there's a big ikhtilaf here, is that inshallah, 1 man is sufficient at the beginning and at the end. Okay? Some scholars say 1 at the beginning, 2 at the end. Some say 2 at the beginning, 1 at the end. Some say 2 at the beginning, 2 at the end. Okay? But inshallah, by combining all the narrations, we say that it is permissible if there is one trustworthy person. You know him and you trust him, that he would not lie. If he says he saw the moon, then it is sufficient to take his testimony at the beginning of the month and at the end of the month, although it is better to have 2, at least 2. Okay? Because the Prophet in one hadith said that when 2 men testify, then accept their testimony. But at the same time, he accepted the testimony of Ibn Umar, 1 man. Okay? So we combine the 2 narrations and we say that 2 is better, but if you have 1 trustworthy person, Ibn Umar was a trustworthy person, obviously, he's a well-known, famous companion. Okay? If you have 1 trustworthy person, then that too, his sighting can be accepted. Obviously, he has to be Muslim. Okay? No, that's important. That's important. Because if NASA said they saw the moon, we cannot accept their testimony. Okay? We have to go, a Muslim has to see the moon. Okay? A big controversial question. What is the big controversy concerning the moon sighting? Huh? No, calculations, there's no doubt that the calculations are haram, because the Prophet ﷺ said that that's the controversial question. Is it Mecca or is it Houston? Mecca versus Houston. Not which one of the 2 is holy, but which one of the 2 should we follow? Okay? Which one of the 2 should we follow? You see what I'm saying? If the moon is sighted in Mecca, or is sighted anywhere in the world actually, not just Mecca, anywhere in the world, okay? Sighted in Zimbabwe or Karachi or Australia or whatever, okay? Do you have to fast in Houston when those people saw the moon? Okay? Again, big ikhtilaf, big juicy ikhtilaf here, because obviously they're, when I mean juicy, I mean that they have good evidences on both sides, okay? You can do a lot of research and get a lot of opinions. And I used to say at the beginning, as everyone that knows me knows, I used to say that we should follow any sighting in the world. Okay? We should follow any sighting in the world. However, after questioning ulama and researching on my own, and breaking away from taqleed basically, I say that it is best to follow your community now. It is best to follow your community. Whatever your community is upon, follow that. Okay? So we follow, for example, ISGH here in Houston. Eid al-Adha, there is never a difference of opinion, which is a contradiction in their methodology actually. Because Eid al-Adha, everyone follows Saudi Arabia. Okay. Yeah, that's a contradiction. That's, with no doubt there is a contradiction there. Okay. However, we say then that if the authority is in your hands, if you have power, if you're in control, for example, of ISGH, then in that case, any Muslim season in the world, you will do it at that time. Okay. But it's not in our hands. So we don't break away from the community. We don't cause a fitna or a fuss over these type of issues. Rather, we stick with the community. Okay. Let's try to keep questions to the end, because I want to get along here, inshallah. Okay. طيب. The first section after this introductory thing are those for whom it is allowed not to fast in Ramadan. those for whom it is allowed, what a difficult way to say it. Those that cannot fast Ramadan, okay? Easier way to say it. Those people that have the option, or it is even not allowed for them to fast Ramadan. 4 types of people. Firstly, number 1, the traveler and the sick person. Put them all together. The traveler and the sick person. Okay? For both of these categories, it is allowed for them not to fast. If you're traveling or you are sick. What do you mean by sick? It means you have a band-aid in your hand, you have a little cut, that's sick? No. It means a sickness that will be harmed or prolonged, one of the two, by your fast. If you have a headache, that's not a sickness that's going to be harmed or prolonged by the fast. It's something you don't consider a sickness. Okay? We're talking about a sickness. I mean, you're really sick. That if you were to fast, then that fast would cause you harm or would make your sickness longer. So the sick man and the one who is traveling, it is not obligatory on them to fast. If they fast, it is allowed and their fast is accepted, but it is not obligatory on them to fast. If they don't fast, what do they have to do? No, not expiation. No, not pay. Make it up. Make it up. They make it up. Yeah, they have to make it up after they. So, for example, you went traveling for 1 week in Ramadan. Okay, during that week you have the option. You're allowed to fast and you're allowed to break your fast. If you were to fast, that's fine. Okay. By the way, both are allowed. You can't say one is preferred one over the other. You look at your situation, whichever one is easier for you. For example, I remember when I was traveling to America in Ramadan, it was easier for me to fast, and we were going in an airplane out. I don't want to miss and make it up the next day, So I fasted that day, okay? At the same time, if we were physically going to be traveling, especially like driving or something, I wouldn't have fasted. Not from America to Medina, I'm saying driving in America or something, I wouldn't have fasted. Because you need to drink, you need to freshen yourself up, you need to be alert, drink coffee, whatever. Basically, you take it back to your situation, whatever is more convenient for you. You're allowed to fast, you're allowed to break your fast in Ramadan. Both are allowed, if you're traveling. Likewise, if you're sick, you take it back to yourself. If you think that you can be patient and handle it, that's fine. Right? Otherwise, break your fast and make it up when you get cured. Now, the sickness that we're talking about here is the type that is going to be cured, like a fever, for example. Good example, a fever. You know that inshallah, if Allah wills, inshallah, it's not a permanent disease that's going to last for the rest of your life, something temporary. So in this case, you're allowed to fast and you're allowed to make up, you're allowed to fast and you're allowed to break, and if you break it, then you have to make it up later on. This is based on clear verses in the Quran. فَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِنْ أَيَامٍ أُخَرٍ. Which verse is that, ya akhi? No one else. Which verse? Roughly. Which juz at least? How many times did I tell you? Second juz. Okay. Which page roughly after the second juz? Let's see how good your hifz is. No, I don't think it's the ninth. It's before the ninth. Yes, before the half. It's like the 5th to the 7th or something like that. Okay. So Allah clearly says in the Quran, whoever is sick or traveling, then he can make it up later on. Clear verse in the Quran. Okay, it's verse 184 by the way. Surah Baqarah verse 184. Whoever is sick or traveling, he can make it up later on. This is the first category. Those for whom it is allowed to fast and it is allowed to what? To break it and make it up later on. Okay, the second category, those for whom it is prohibited to fast. On whom is it prohibited to fast in the month of Ramadan? The woman that is menstruating and the woman that is in her nifas. The ha'id and the nufasa. The one who is in her hayd and her the postpartum bleeding, right? Post-birth bleeding. For these women, it is not allowed, it is haram for them to fast. And what must they do? They have to make it up. They have no option. They have to make it up. No, there's no expiation. So, for a woman in her menstruation, she does not fast in Ramadan. After Ramadan finishes, she should make it up. The earlier the better. Okay? Likewise, if she's in her after childbirth bleeding, then she makes it up whenever she gets an opportunity to do so. She doesn't have to give any money or any expiation for them. Okay? This is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that Aisha said that the Prophet ﷺ commanded the menstruating woman to make up the fast, but not the prayer. Okay? So the menstruating woman must make up the fast and not the prayer. Okay, suppose she started fasting in the daytime, okay? And 10 minutes before Maghrib, her menstruation started. What does that mean? Her fast is nullified and she must make up that whole day again. Likewise, the opposite. Suppose she stopped her fast, she stopped her menstruation 5 minutes after Fajr. Doesn't matter, it's too late. Okay? However, if her hayd stopped before Fajr, but she didn't take a shower until after Fajr, that's alright. Okay? So if her hayd stopped like 10 minutes before Fajr, right? But she did not take a bath until after Fajr, that's alright. The point is her hayd must stop before Fajr in order for her fast to be acceptable, and likewise it must not start until after Maghrib in order for that day to be acceptable as a fast. So this is the second category. The third category are old people or a sickness that is permanent. So for example, certain types of diabetics, right? They cannot fast. Permanent sickness. Certain extreme cases of diabetics, they cannot fast. They must have their food or they will die, okay? Or they will have severe, whatever, withdrawal symptoms, I don't know what. Seizures, exactly, yeah. Okay, so they must have their insulin or whatever, insulin, right? Insulin and whatever, the extreme case of diabetes. So two categories fall in the third thing. The first category is who? No. Within this category, within number 3, old people and permanent sicknesses, okay? Permanent sicknesses. What do these people do? These people, they have to give the expiation. They have to pay for every day they have to feed a poor person. Every day that they don't fast, they have to give as an expiation the meal of one person. What is the meal of one person? Goes back to your culture, okay? So if you give every day that you don't fast, McDonald's, whatever, burger, well, if you consider it halal day, fish burger, let's say, fries and, whatever. A meal that goes back to your culture, okay? Or some rice and chicken, right? Basically, for every day, you have to give one meal that you did not fast. If you, like for example, if your parents are not fasting, right? And you are responsible for taking care of them, they can't take care of them, then you have to pay on their behalf every day, food for one person. Likewise, if there's a sickness that cannot be cured. So far so clear, because even the Quran says, the same verse that we mentioned, وَعَلَى الَّذِينَ يُطِيقُونَهُ فِدْيَةٌ طَعَامُ مِسْكِينٍ, that those that cannot do it, they cannot fast, meaning the old people, they have to give a fidya or an expiation of feeding poor people. So far, these 3 categories, there is like consensus. There's no difference of opinion. The 4th category is where the difference of opinion occurs. We mentioned 3 categories, right? What's the first category, akhi? The travelers. The second category? Travelers and sick people who? 10%. The second category is? Menstruating women. It's haram for them to fast. Third category, Haris? Old people and permanent sickness. The 4th category is where the difference of opinion comes, okay? This is, the 4th category is pregnant and breastfeeding women. Okay, this is where the ikhtilaf comes. Okay, pregnant and breastfeeding women. Now the scholars have agreed that if the woman feels that fasting is going to harm her or her baby, one of the two, or both. Okay, if fasting is going to harm her or her baby, then she is allowed to break her fast. There's no disagreement there. The ikhtilaf, or the difference comes, what should she do afterwards? Okay, should she pay? Should she fast? Or should she do both? Believe it or not, some ulama said to do both. She should pay and fast. Okay? The difference of opinion exists because of the fact that there is no explicit Quranic ayah or hadith concerning this situation. Concerning pregnant women or breastfeeding women. There is no hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. There are differences of the Sahaba, yes. But the Prophet ﷺ, no. There are no hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and there are no verses in the Quran concerning this case. Okay? So, you understand the 4 categories, right? So, some ulama made qiyas. What is qiyas, ya akhi? Qiyas. You don't know what qiyas is? Yusuf, what is qiyas? An analogy between something in which there is a ruling in Islam and something which there is no ruling in Islam. You make an analogy between them because of the fact that there is something common between the two. Okay? So you make an analogy between LSD and LSD and alcoholic drinks, okay? Marijuana and alcoholic drinks. You make a analogy between these two and you say that both of them are haram, okay? Now the ikhtilaf comes, why am I talking about this? Why does this ikhtilaf exist? The ikhtilaf comes because this 4th category, do you take it back to the 1st category or the 3rd category? Someone explain what I just said to me. No, this is the ikhtilaf. What is the 1st category? Sick persons who are temporary. Exactly. This is the key word here. Temporary. So they have a problem that is temporary with them that will be cured later on. Okay? So some ulama said that since menstruation is temporary, right? Since menstruation, I'm sorry, not menstruation, what am I talking about? Pregnancy is temporary and breastfeeding is temporary. It is as if they have a temporary sickness. Qiyas, analogy. So they have to make it up afterwards. Other ulama said, no, this is beyond their control, just like the old man. and the sickness beyond the cure is out of their control. So therefore they should pay and not make it up. Okay? Which of the two analogies makes more sense to you?
Temporary.
The temporary one?
No, it is out of their control.
Well, both are out of their control, you see. You can't control being sick, you can't control being pregnant or breastfeeding. Okay? Second one, why? That's the first one, not permanent. The first analogy. This is the opinion that I also hold. Is that the breastfeeding woman and the pregnant woman, it makes much more sense to make qiyas with the sick person, temporary sickness. Because it's something that's temporary. Okay? Therefore, once the reason is removed, she should then make up that fast. Okay? And this is also the fatwa of many of the ulama of our times, that she should make it up. Okay? So the breastfeeding woman or the pregnant woman, she should make up her fast. A number of days she did not fast, she should make it up. And this really seems to be definitely the stronger opinion, because of the fact that it makes more sense to say that she is similar to the sick person, the temporary sickness, than to say she's similar to the older person who will never be able to fast. Okay? It makes more sense to make this type of qiyas than that. Okay? So that's the four types of categories of people that, upon whom it is allowed not to fast, and sometimes it is obligatory not to fast. Upon whom is it obligatory not to fast? No, the menstruating woman and the woman in postpartum bleeding. Okay. As for the old person, if he can fast, that's fine. The thing is, if he thinks himself too weak to fast, okay, if he thinks that he cannot, do it, then in this case, he should give the day of food. So these are the four people. Anyone that does not fast, that does not fall into one of these four categories, is a sinner. Anyone that does not fast and he does not fall into one of these four categories, he is a sinner committing a major, major, major sin in Islam, because he is leaving one of the pillars of Islam. Okay? So if anyone purposely does not fast, or purposely breaks his fast, for example, he eats or drinks in Ramadan, okay, then upon him is a great sin, and he must make up that day for which he broke, or he did not fast, okay? He must make up that day. There is no expiation upon him. If he eats or drinks, there is no expiation upon him. There is only one scenario in which there is an expiation upon him also, and that is when a person has intercourse in the day of Ramadan. Okay? So we move on to the next section now, and we say that those that break their fast illegally. The first section was those that break their fast legally. They have a reason or permission from Allah. The second section is those that break their fast illegally, in the sense that they should not have done what they did, and they did something that they shouldn't have done. Very good. طيب. Concerning this category, we say that first we say that it is a sin. It is definitely a major sin to do this. So make sure you understand this. That when a person comes to you and he says that, for example, he ate intentionally, or drank intentionally, or had intercourse intentionally, obviously it must be with intention, in the sense you eat or drink and you realize it is Ramadan. Right? Everyone knows that if it's Ramadan and you accidentally drink, there's no sin on you. Okay? Accidentally, unintentionally, you forget it's Ramadan. Likewise if you eat. Okay? Accidentally, there's no sin upon you. Okay? The sin is when you realize and you intentionally eat or drink or have intercourse. Okay? Huh? Any amount, yes. You're not allowed to take a little sip intentionally. Trying to find a lax way there? Nuh-uh. Unintentionally, no. Unintentionally, no. Any amount. Yeah, any amount. You can eat a whole buffet, you can eat it. But Allah knows your intentions. You're not going to be able to fool Allah. Allah knows your intentions, okay? There's a hadith about that. Whoever eats or drinks unintentionally, then there is no problem with his fasting. It is food that Allah has given him. Okay? The problem is when you do it intentionally. So you can eat a whole meal, right? Now also realize, if someone's watching you, it is that person's obligation to remind you that you're fasting. Okay? So if you see someone going to a water fountain, right, you're supposed to say, hey, you're fasting, remember. He might get angry at you, oh man, you could have let me get a sip, But the fact is, it's your obligation to remind him also. Okay? It's your obligation to remind him, because you're his Muslim brother, you have to give him nasiha. If he forgot something, he's not sinful, but you should remind him that he's fasting, and he shouldn't do what he is doing. Okay? Let's try to keep questions to the end, inshallah, okay? طيب, the question we're talking, what section are we on right now? Those who break their fast illegally. The first thing that any person any person that comes to you, he says he broke his fast illegally, the first thing you should tell him is that he has to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He has done a major sin, yarhamkumullah. He has to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for what he has done. He has to seek his forgiveness, he has to do istighfar, he has to increase his good deeds. Basically do a complete repentance. Okay, so don't just jump to what he has to do. First thing you have to do is tell him to repent to Allah. And advise him to fear Allah and not to return to that evil that he has done. The second thing that you tell him to do is to make up for that day. If it's one day and if it's more than one, make it up. If it's a whole month he didn't fast, he has to make up that whole month. Okay? The third thing you have to do is you have to find out how did he break his fast. Okay? If he ate or drank, then this is enough. But the two things that we just mentioned is enough. Okay? If he had intercourse, if he broke his fast by having intercourse with his wife in the day of Ramadan, between Fajr to Maghrib, then there is an added penalty on him. There is an added penalty on him. What is the penalty upon him? The first thing that he must do is he must try to free a slave. And obviously he cannot do that anymore in our time, so he moves on automatically to the second thing, and that is that he must fast 2 months consecutively. What does it mean consecutively? It means you don't skip a single day. So you had intercourse once in Ramadan. As a penalty for that, you have to fast 2 months from after the day of Eid. As soon as Eid finishes, Eid is haram to fast, right? As soon as Eid finishes, you have to fast the whole month of, what month does Eid fall in? Guys, we just took it. Shawwal. Eid does not fall in Ramadan. Eid falls in Shawwal. Okay? What is the month after Shawwal? Dhul Qa'dah. So he has to fast the whole month of Shawwal and the whole month of Dhul Qa'dah. 2 months consecutively. Okay? Even on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays again. Every single day. And if he breaks purposely, intentionally, he has to start all over again 2 months. So it's a severe penalty. So guys, careful, okay? I know a guy that he got married in Ramadan, and I told him, you're real stupid, okay? Don't get married in Ramadan, okay? Do not get married in Ramadan, because you're going to be facing major problems, okay? Because it's a severe penalty, it's not a joke. To fast 2 months is a severe penalty. I mean, it's a very difficult thing to do, okay? Now, supposing he cannot fast. We're not saying it's difficult for him to fast. Of course it's difficult. We're supposing he physically cannot fast 2 months. In this case, he has to feed 60 people, okay? If he could not free a slave, he moves on to the second condition, and that is that he must fast 2 months, and the vast majority of mankind, of Muslims, they can fast 2 months. We're not saying it's difficult for him, we're saying it is impossible for him. Okay? It's meant to be difficult. It's meant so that you realize that what you did was a sin, and don't return to it. If he could not fast physically for 2 months, then in that case, he moves on to the step number 3, or expiation number 3, and that is to feed 60 people. Okay? 60 poor people, obviously, to feed them, 60 poor people. Or he can feed one person 60 days, or he can feed 30 people 2 times. Basically, 60 meals he has to pay for. Okay? He can feed one person 60 times, he can feed 60 people 1 time. He can feed 15 people how many times, Haris? Mathematics here. 15 people, how many times must he feed? 4, exactly. Okay? Basically, 60 meals he has to give. Okay? The proof for this is the hadith that is reported in Bukhari and Muslim. A man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I have destroyed myself. So the Prophet said, what have you done? He said, I fell upon my wife while I was fasting. I had intercourse with my wife while I was fasting. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him, can you free a slave? Are you capable of freeing a slave? Okay? He said, no. And in one narration, he said, the only back that I own is this one. The only back that I own, the only person that I own is this one, meaning himself, meaning he doesn't have a slave. Okay? So the Prophet ﷺ said, can you fast 2 months? Okay? He said no. Some of the ulama, they say that this man, he had some very severe physical labor that he has to do every day. Like he was a manual labor or something, working in the sun. So they say because of that, he said no. I don't know if there's riwayat or that's an interpretation, so I'll have to go back. But he said no. So the Prophet said, can you feed 60 people? Okay? So the man said, Wallahi, last night we went to sleep and we couldn't even eat our food. In other words, we didn't have enough to eat food. How can I feed 60 people? I can't even feed myself. Okay? So then the Prophet ﷺ was quiet. Which means that if a person cannot do any of these 3 things, then it falls off from him to do anything. Until he can feed 60 people, then he feeds 60 people. Okay? And then some sadaqah was brought to him. Some charity was brought to him. And we said that the Prophet ﷺ can accept zakah, can accept sadaqah, but not zakah. So some sadaqah was brought to him. So the Prophet ﷺ gave him that sadaqah and said, go and feed 64 people. Okay, and to the end of the hadith. But basically the hadith is explicit that you go from step 1, then to step 2, then to step 3. Okay? طيب. That was the second section, right? But now we get to the third section, that's the important one. What are the factors that break your fast? What are they called in Arabic? Muftirat, we just took it. Muftirat. How did we define fasting? From a Sharia perspective. Abstaining from muftirat from dawn to sunset. Now we're going to define what the muftirat are. So you have to abstain from all of these things. Okay? Now obviously there are certain things that you have to abstain from in the sense that if they happen to you, then your fast breaks. Such as hayd and nifas. Right? Well, obviously if it happens to you, your fast breaks. But you're not sinful for anything there. Hayd, nifas, and to change your intentions. So during the day, while you're fasting, you change your mind and you say, khalas, I'm not going to fast anymore. The very fact that you change your mind automatically destroys your fast. Why? What is the proof for this? The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, actions are by intentions. You merely intend to break your fast, even if you didn't drink or eat anything, your fast is broken. So do not intend to change your fast because your actions are by intentions. Okay? So do not intend to break your fast. If you do that, then your fast is broken. Okay? So how many have we done so far? Well, we're not really, like I said, like hayd and nifas, you don't really count it as something that you do, it's unintentional, that happens to the woman. Okay? But you can say number one, the main thing is change of intentions. Okay? Number two is to eat. Number three is to drink. And number four is to have intercourse. This is clear, everyone knows this. Everyone, this is common sense, and everyone has not common sense, but everyone knows this since they're a child. To eat, to drink, and to have intercourse. Okay? So this is how many now? Four. Number five is to vomit intentionally. To vomit intentionally. All the ulama have unanimously agreed that when a person forces himself to vomit by putting his finger in his mouth or doing anything, he forces himself to vomit, that his fast is broken. So if he vomits unintentionally, his fast is not broken. If he was dizzy and he vomited unintentionally, his fast is not broken. Doesn't matter how much he vomits, a fistful or a mouthful, or doesn't matter. Okay? Because some of the scholars they say if you vomit a mouthful or a fistful, then your fast is broken, otherwise not. But the correct opinion is that no, there is nothing from the hadith that says this. So the correct opinion is that even if you fast, it does not break your, even if you fast. Even if you vomit, no matter how much you vomit, it does not break your fast as long as you did not do so intentionally. The Prophet ﷺ said, he whom vomit overtakes is a translation. He whom vomit overtakes, in other words, he vomits unintentionally, then there is no qada, or there is no, not expiation, but making it up for him. There is no makeup for him, okay? He doesn't have to make it up again. But he who vomits intentionally, then he must make up the fast. This is reported in Abu Dawud and At-Tirmidhi. Okay? So how many do we have so far? 5. The sixth one is to cause an ejaculation with intention. So this is different from intercourse, right? Because intercourse is when you actually enter your wife. But to cause an ejaculation with intention. So if you had the intention to ejaculate, so this includes, for example, how would you cause yourself to ejaculate intentionally? Yes, exactly. Who said that? No, so we have to say it because we have to make sure everyone understands. And we have to make sure because the brothers have to realize not only is masturbation haram, but if they do it in Ramadan or in fasting, this breaks their fast. Okay? So when you cause yourself to ejaculate intentionally, this breaks your fast. Okay? Also, for example, if you cause yourself to look at pictures or things, and this causes you to ejaculate, then you have broken your fast and you have to make it up. Why? Because you were continually looking and you were the one that caused yourself to ejaculate. Now this excludes if you guys come on, serious. This excludes if you ejaculate unintentionally, if it wasn't your intention to ejaculate. Okay? So if it happens accidentally or unintentionally, then this does not break your fast. Okay? Likewise, if anything reaches your throat, even if you take it out again, so you drink some water, it went down, as soon as it goes past your throat, your fast is broken. Even if it doesn't go beyond that, if you vomit it out immediately or whatever. Okay? So what is this? What factor is this? Huh? Yeah, with intention, obviously, yeah. With intention. I mean, you do it on purpose, okay? So the point is, even if it doesn't reach your stomach, if it goes beyond your throat, right? Water or food, or dates, anything, then this breaks your fast. What if it goes only in your mouth and you throw it out? It is allowed or it is permissible for you to taste something or chew something while you are fasting. It's not encouraged, but as long as it does not go beyond your throat. And obviously you should only do it for a reason. For example, some of the Sahaba, they would chew dates and then give it to their children. Because they didn't have Gerber baby food back then. This is their Gerber baby food. They would chew it themselves, right? And then give it to their children. Okay? So they would chew it while they were fasting, and then give it to the children, but because it didn't go beyond their throat, that's allowed. Likewise, for example, if the wife is cooking for her husband and she knows her husband has a temper or something, even though he shouldn't, but she knows that there's a reason that she should taste the food, okay? It is allowed for her to taste the food while she is fasting, as long as she does not take it beyond her throat, okay? So the cutoff or the break-off point is the throat. If it goes beyond the throat, your fast is invalid. If you do it intentionally, obviously. Unintentionally is allowed. Okay, as for... Now the scholars say, however, if some dust enters your throat, that's allowed, because you can't really, like if it's a dusty windy day or something, and some rain or some dust accidentally enters, you can't control that. So they excuse that, okay? If you do it intentionally, obviously it does, but they excuse it unintentionally. Now we get to one last point, and that is injections, needles, shots. And really there's a difference here, because obviously it did not exist at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. But many scholars say that if it's intravenous, it breaks your fast. And if it's intramuscular, it does not break your fast. And Allah knows best. I do not know. Allah knows best. I mean, this is something that, we can't find a Quranic ayah or hadith about, about taking shots or injections, okay? The ulama have said that asthma sprays, okay, they are excluded from this prohibition. Asthma, someone has asthma and he needs to take that dose of asthma, then it's excused and he's allowed to do so, inshallah, because it goes into your lungs and not to your stomach. Okay, so they make an excuse for that. Okay, we finished that section. We move on to one more brief section. It might even be considered a footnote, and that is that if someone eats in the morning his suhoor, presuming that it is the time for suhoor, but then he realizes that it's already past Fajr time, right? Is his fast, obviously then he stops immediately. Is his fast valid or not? Everyone says Salam. Be brave. Okay, let's give the opposite scenario. Suppose it's right before Maghrib time, okay? And it was a bit cloudy, so you were hasty in breaking your fast. The clouds went away and you saw that the sun had not set. So he accidentally broke his fast, thinking that his fast was now finished. Is his fast valid or not? Yes, no. Okay, you're saying no. How can you say yes to the first one and no to this one? Your opinion, your answer is right, but your reasoning is wrong. Your answer is right, but your reasoning is wrong. He who wakes up in the morning, okay, presuming that it is time for suhoor, and eats his breakfast, and then realizes that it was after suhoor, his fast is valid. He who breaks his fast before Maghrib time, presuming that Maghrib time has arrived, and yet after he eats, he realizes that he broke his fast earlier. For example, suppose he didn't have the prayer charts, and he couldn't see the sun. He broke his fast at 6 o'clock, okay? He found out that the actual timing for Maghrib was 6:10 or 6:20, okay? In this case, his fast is invalid. He's not sinful, right? But he has to make up that day, okay? Huh? You just follow the charts. I'm saying if it comes clear to you that the sun had not set, okay? Then they would look at the sun. If there were clouds, then he has to make the best guess. And when he is, when he is pretty certain that the sun has set, then he breaks his fast. Okay? How can I say yes to this and no to that? I mean, doesn't it seem like a contradiction? Right? This goes back to a science known as qawaid fiqhiyya, which we don't have time to discuss. But basically, there is a qaida, or there is a rule of fiqh which states that you presume, how do I translate this? This is difficult to translate. You presume things as status quo, as they are, unless another thing happens to remove that presumption. Everyone's totally confused. Okay? Say it in Arabic. That's a good one. Okay? You presume things as being the same as they are, until a factor comes that changes it. So it's night. Let me give you the example now. It's night. Okay? You presume that it is night until you are sure that it is day. So you ate and you thought that it was day, so it's still night. Because you continue along with the presumption. Okay? Everyone knows it's night, okay? You wake up in the morning, it might be night, it might be day. Okay, this is where the difference comes for yourself, okay? It might be night, it might be day. The asl or the general ruling is that it's night because it was just night right before that. So, in continuing along with the night, if you ate thinking that it was the night, you are forgiven. Because that was what it was night. Okay, it was night right before you. Whereas right before Maghrib, what was before Maghrib? The day. So the asr or the general ruling is that it is the day. So until the next ruling comes, which is the sunset, you have to presume that it is day. Okay? If you don't understand, just know the rule and go on. Okay? Just know the thing, that if you wake up in the morning, you had suhoor. Obviously, what does this mean? It doesn't mean that you don't look at the clock, oh, I'm allowed to eat. It means that you honestly really thought that it was time to have suhoor. In this case, you are forgiven. Now, if you were lazy in the sense that you didn't look at the clock or you didn't ask around, then you are sinful and your fast is not valid. We are saying, suppose you woke up and you thought, oh my God, it's 5:30, you quickly rushed to the fridge, drank some milk, did something, and then you realized it wasn't 5:30, it was 6. Okay? In this case, you are forgiven. Okay? And the opposite, that if it's before, Maghrib time, you have to take more cautions there. Okay? You have to make sure that the sun has set. Just another section here. Now we go on to the last section, inshallah. So we finished Siyam today. We have finished fasting today. The last section are the fastings that are encouraged. Okay, we've basically covered in a nutshell fasting. And we will now move on to, like I said even yesterday, we are going at supersonic speed here. I mean, speed of light. Just briefly going over every important masala so you know what's going on, you know what to do, and we can move on to more important things. The last chapter is the section that concerns fastings which are sunnah to do. What is the best type of fast? The fast of? Not Musa. Dawood. The fast of Dawood, which was what? Every other day. He would fast one day and leave the fast the other day. So this is the best type of fast, okay? And all of these factors are mentioned in the hadith. Another fasting that is encouraged is what? Mondays and Thursdays. Okay? Another time when fasting is encouraged is the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Okay? And in particular, which day of Dhul Hijjah? The day of Arafah. The day of Arafah, which is the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. What did the Prophet say about whoever fasts this day? His sins of the previous year and the next year will be forgiven. Okay? Likewise, the 10th of Muharram. What is the blessings of fasting on the 10th of Muharram? Yeah, Musa was saved on that day. This 10th of Muharram has nothing to do with Shia. Don't get confused. They have their own 10th of Muharram. Okay? We fast this day because Musa was saved this day. Okay? What is the blessings of fasting on the 10th of Muharram? It forgives the sins of the year before. Okay, just the minor sins, yeah. It forgives the sins of the year before. And also the 13th, 14th, and 15th of every month. Okay, the 13th, 14th, and 15th of which month? January? February? The Islamic months. Every single month, Islamic month. The 13th, 14th, and 15th of the Islamic months. Okay? The Prophet said, whoever fasts the 3 days of every month, it is as if he has fasted the whole year. How is this? We know that the fast is equal to 10 times its reward. So when you fast 3 days, you get the reward of 30. So if you fast 3 days of the month, you get the reward of the month. Okay? Likewise, whoever fasts 6 months, 6 days of Shawwal, he will get the reward of fasting the whole year. How is this? 6 days of Shawwal. If he fasted, he will get the reward of fasting the whole year. 1 month of Ramadan plus 6 days of Shawwal equals the whole year. How is that? 1 month of Ramadan equals 10 months in reward, right? And 6 days of Shawwal equals 60 days, which is 2 months. So that's 10 plus 2 is 12. So he gets the reward of fasting the whole year. Okay? Of every month. Every month. I didn't say that, you said that. Our sacred months. Has nothing to do with the fasting. These are the months where you're not allowed to fight or other things. Not allowed to do nothing with fasting. Okay, likewise fasting the month of Muharram in general. Okay? In general, the month of Muharram. So these are the fasts which are encouraged to do. And fasting any day is nothing. You can fast today, tomorrow, any day. There are certain days, the next section, last section, with that we finish inshallah. There are certain days in which fasting is discouraged or prohibited. Okay? Of them is to single out, number 1, to single out Jum'ah or Friday. Okay? To single out Friday. Number 2, to single out Saturday also. Okay? You should not fast Saturday for any reason, unless you have a habit of, unless it's like 13th, 14th, 15th of that month, or you're fasting every second day and then it's going to be a Saturday. But you shouldn't just fast Saturday for no reason. And nafil fast should not be done on Saturday, because the Prophet clearly said that don't fast on Saturday except the fard fast on you. Okay. Number 2 is Saturday. Number 3 is the day of doubt. When is the day of doubt? The day before Ramadan. The day before Ramadan. So if it was cloudy on the 29th, right? Some people, they say, well, I might as well fast the 30th of Sha'ban just to be on the safe side. No. The Prophet ﷺ forbade fasting on the day of doubt. If you're doubtful whether it's the 30th of Sha'ban or the 1st of Ramadan, don't fast. Presume it's the 30th of Sha'ban. Okay? Which number is this now? Number 4, it is prohibited to fast on the 2 days of Eid. It is prohibited to fast on the 2 days of Eid. Okay? Likewise, the days of Tashriq, which come after Eid al-Adha, the 3 days after Eid al-Adha, the 10th, 11th, and 12th, you should not fast on those days. Except if you're doing Hajj Tamattu and something happens, which you can get to in the book of Hajj, inshallah. But in general, you're here in Houston, you should not fast on those 3 days. Okay? Tayyib, one last point, one last comment before we finish, and that is that he who starts an obligatory fast, it is obligatory on him to finish that fast. So if you started the month of Ramadan, you have to finish the month of Ramadan. But he who starts, likewise if you, for example, you were sick in the month of Ramadan, and you started to make up one day after Ramadan, you have to finish that fast. You are not allowed to break that fast. Okay? However, if you start a nafil fast, then it's up to you. You can break it and you can complete it. It's up to you. Okay? This is based on the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that he would enter his house and he would ask Aisha, do you have any food? If you do, then I'll eat, otherwise I'm fasting. So the Prophet ﷺ would have this intention of nafil fast, that you can do it. You might wake up in the morning and just stay fast in the middle of the day, then break your fast for no reason. There's no penalty upon you. But if you started a fard fast, so for example, the sisters are making up their menstruation fast that they missed, they're not allowed to break those fasts for any reason. Okay? Likewise, obviously, goes without saying, you have to have the intention of the fard fast before sunrise. Okay? Before Fajr time, not sunrise. Before sunrise, you have to have the intention. So if you don't have the intention for the fard fast, you cannot fast that day. Okay? How about for nafil fast? Can you decide in the middle of the day to fast nafil? The correct opinion is yes, you can, as long as you ate nothing since Fajr. So if you had a hearty meal, and then you can't say, well, I'm going to fast the rest of the day. No. As long as, suppose you woke up for Fajr, went back to sleep, woke up at 9, 10. At, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the day, you hadn't had anything to eat, you say, I might as well make it a fast today. Okay? Nafil fast. Fard, you have to have the intention before before Fajr time. Okay? With that, inshallah, we finish the chapter of fasting. Tomorrow, there will be no fiqh class. There will be Kitab al-Tawheed, both lessons, inshallah. Likewise on Thursday, and likewise on Monday and Tuesday of next week, we will only do Kitab al-Tawheed all day long, so that we can finish the book, inshaAllah ta'ala. No more fiqh. We finished what we wanted to do, which was Tahara, Salah, Janaiz, Zakah, and fasting. Okay? This was a bird's eye view of fiqh. You're not going to get smaller and more compact than what we did. Okay? And I like to say over and over again, I would encourage everyone to go and do research. Guys, some concluding remarks about fiqh. brothers. Some concluding remarks about fiqh. I noticed that brothers get confused very fast when it comes to fiqh. Well, you said this, but I heard so-and-so say that. Okay? Realize that fiqh is something that throughout history, the Muslim Ummah has never united upon. Even the Sahaba, they had differences in fiqh. Okay? So it's up to you to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala based upon the opinions that you feel are the closest to the truth. Okay? Go to an alim, go to a student of knowledge, ask him and take his opinion. Okay? Don't get confused when you hear that there's differences of opinion. Every alim, Shaykh Ibn Baz has an opinion, Shaykh Albani has an opinion, Shaykh Uthaymin has an opinion. We respect all of them, doesn't mean that we put them down. Of course, only one opinion is correct, right? But we should have some type of wisdom when it comes to differences in fiqh. Don't become emotional. Don't say, oh, you're wrong, I'm right. Oh, I studied in my fiqh class that I learned in 3 weeks that this is halal or haram, Whereas, no, this is, I just gave you a bird's eye view. And this is, like I said over and over again, I'm just a student of knowledge, I have come to certain conclusions. This is what I have taught you. Okay? I encourage every one of you to go and research, read up the books, learn Arabic, memorize the Quran, do whatever you can, and open up the doors to fiqh. Fiqh is a never-ending topic. It's going to always, you're going to always be presented with different scenarios, different rulings. Okay, so don't get confused. Be gentle when it comes to fiqh. Okay? Don't be harsh when it comes to fiqh. As long as there's a valid difference. We're not saying if someone comes and tells you mortgages are allowed. No one in the past ever said that interest is allowed. Okay? We're not saying someone comes and tells you music is allowed. No one of the past allowed music, in general, we're saying the scholars, the differences that are existent from the past, be lenient with them, okay? Is Taraweeh 8 rak'ah or 20 rak'ah? This is a difference from the past, If you follow one opinion, follow it and preach to it, but don't criticize or rebuke those that don't agree with you, okay? Likewise, when it comes to the sighting of the moon, if you follow one opinion, that you have to fast based upon another country's, fasting, fine. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't cause a fitna about it in the community, because our own scholars have differed about this, okay? So, call others to it, preach to it, be active about it, but don't be rude, don't be arrogant. Don't label others as anything. Be wise at the same time, okay? The best example, okay? Shaykh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah, and Shaykh Al-Albani, how many differences did they have in fiqh? Yet they loved each other so much for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? The differences in fiqh will always exist. Don't think that you're going to, resolve them ever. Just be gentle when it comes to teaching fiqh, and inshallah, may Allah forgive me if I made any mistake in teaching this class. I ask Allah to forgive me, and also if you come across any mistakes, contact me. We can still try to change it in the cassettes, inshallah. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala benefits all of us with beneficial knowledge and actions that are accepted by Him. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika. Shadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Naam.
I've heard from an alim that if you see anybody eating or drinking, you should not tell him, but you said that you're supposed to stop him. Can you please explain?
You're supposed to remind him because of the fact that ad-dinun nasiha, the religion is giving advice, okay? You're supposed to remind him because of the fact that it is your religious duty or obligation to remind him that it is, even though he is not sinful for eating or drinking, he's still not allowed to eat or drink. He's doing it unintentionally, so you should correct him from his mistake. Okay? Even though he's not sinful for doing it, it is your obligation or duty to do so. No.
So is it wrong to fast while breastfeeding or pregnancy? Do we get more reward if we do?
No, I said, perhaps not clearly enough, is that it goes back to the woman. If she feels that she will be harmed, or her baby will be harmed, if she fasts or breastfeeds, or both will be harmed, then she is allowed to break her fast. Otherwise, she is not allowed to break her fast. Suppose and she should go to a Muslim doctor, by the way. Suppose she goes to a Muslim doctor whom she trusts, okay? And the doctor tells her, if you have a big suhoor, and you break your fast, and you eat this and this right at the breaking of the fast, inshallah, it's fine. In this case, she doesn't have an excuse not to fast. She must fast, okay? The doctor tells her, eat this for suhoor, eat this type of nutritious fooding for suhoor, and at iftar time, there's only 12 hours, inshallah, you will be able to fast. In this case, she's not allowed to break her fast. Only when the doctor says, no, it's going to be extremely difficult for you, or your baby might be harmed, or both of you, in this case, she is allowed to not fast in those 2 times. Now,
when you see the moon on the 29th of Shaban, do you fast the next day or wait one more day?
No, you fast the next day. That means that the next day is the first of Ramadan. When did Ramadan begin and end this year? I wasn't here in Houston, actually. So, find out from ISGH.
You did not mention whether miswak breaks fasting or not. Can you explain if toothpaste or paste in our fast would break our fast? Why or why not?
Miswak is encouraged to do while fasting. Miswak is encouraged to do while fasting. Toothpaste is makruh. Is makruh to do. Why? Because it leaves your mouth with a very strong scent and odor, and not odor, but a scent, and you taste it in your mouth, okay? Whereas the miswak does not leave this type of after effects. However, if you brush your teeth, it does not break your fast as long as that liquid doesn't go down your throat. Now the thing is, how many people are going to save themselves from that though? Realistically, every time you brush, a little bit goes down. Okay? So the least that you can say is that fasting is makruh, that it is discouraged. Okay? But it doesn't break your fast if you brush your teeth. Okay?
If you don't have food or water to break your fast due to some circumstances, can you break your fasting by other means, like changing your intention or kissing your spouse?
Kissing your spouse does not break your fast. Did we mention this as breaking your fast? It doesn't even break your wudu. Kissing your spouse does not break your fast. Intercourse does. You might, that's another option after that. But all you have to do is just think, After Maghrib, you intend that your fast is not finished, So you have broken your fast. No.
What specific hadith, if you know, does prohibit music?
There are not just one, there are many ahadith that prohibit music. The most authentic one is a hadith in Sahih Bukhari that states that there will be people of my ummah who will try to make halal silk and fornication and intoxicating drinks and ma'azif, musical instruments. Okay, this is in Sahih Bukhari. The very fact that the Prophet ﷺ said that they will try to make halal shows that it's not halal. And everyone knows that silk for men, obviously. And how many fatwas have we heard that we're allowed to wear silk in our times? And intercourse, zina. And intoxicating drinks. And ma'azif, musical instruments. People will try to make them halal from my ummah. The fact that they're trying to make them halal shows that they are not halal in the first place, okay? And there are many other hadith and narrations from the Salaf, and I encourage everyone to buy a book called Music and Singing in the Light of the Quran and Sunnah by Abu Bilal Mustafa Al-Kanadi rahimahullah ta'ala. Now,
do I have to make niyyah every day in Ramadan, or can I make it for the whole month?
Very good question, and I purposely didn't cover because of time, and alhamdulillah was asked. It doesn't matter. If you have an intention at the beginning of the month to fast the whole month, then that automatically counts as every day. Okay? That automatically counts as every day. Because you know that you're gonna, the very fact you're waking up in the morning, why are you waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and, going to the fridge with your eyes half closed and looking around for something? Why are you doing that? Because you know you're gonna fast. This is an intention. Okay? So if you just make one intention at the beginning of the month that every day, inshallah, I am going to fast, it is sufficient. It is sufficient, inshallah.
If a man breaks his fast by intercourse, who is held responsible, the man, the woman, or both?
Very good question also. Does the woman have to have the penalty also or not? Because if the man has to have the penalty, fast 2 months, the woman, does she also have to fast 2 months or not? There is a tafsil or a split in the scenario. If the woman was forced upon in that she tried to resist, and by the way, the woman is not allowed to obey her husband. Only in the month of Ramadan when she is fasting is she allowed to say, no, you cannot have intercourse with me. Otherwise, all other times when she is not menstruating or nifas, she does not have the right to say no to her husband. Okay? But in the month of Ramadan, she is not allowed to allow her husband to have intercourse with her. If her husband forces himself upon her, then upon him is the penalty, and upon her is just to make up that one day. She doesn't have to expiate the 60 days. However, if she either seduced him, seduced meaning, attracted or encouraged him, or she was a willing participant, in the sense she did not resist, okay, then she too must pay the penalty, okay? So unlike the man, you have to give a scenario here, that if the woman enticed the man, you're not going to say the man was free of blame, because the man always is going to blame the responsibility for having the intercourse, okay? We'll get into a side point of male rape, which I don't want to get into, because the scholars discuss this, by the way, but that's a side point. Now, from Fajr to Maghrib, obviously, yeah. Obviously, everyone knows during the nights of Ramadan you can eat, drink, and have intercourse. It's during the days from Fajr to Maghrib, where it is not allowed. No.
If a woman is making up days of fasting due to menstruation, and she makes an intention to fast, is she allowed to break it, or must she keep it?
No, I said if she is fasting due to the making up the days of Ramadan, this is a fard or obligatory fast upon her. So she must make it up, and she should not allow her husband to have intercourse with her on this day. Whereas in a nafil fast, if she's just fasting Mondays and Thursdays, for example, her husband tells her to break her fast, she should break it, because it's a sunnah fast. Whereas a fard fast, such as the one that the sister mentioned, that she's making up a fast of Ramadan, then she is not allowed to break it for any reason. Only if a life-threatening thing occurs, then she's allowed to break it. Is artificial silk okay, and mixed silk with other fabrics? Artificial silk is okay. Mixed silk, you have to get a fatwa from the alim. Mixed silk, you have to get a fatwa. Okay, now.
Is it discouraged to fast on the day of Jummah? What if you're doing the fast of Dawood every other day and it happens to fall?
Yeah, I said Fridays and Saturdays don't fast for no reason. Okay? Fridays and Saturdays? It's alright. Fridays and Saturdays don't fast for no reason, separate. So don't set Friday apart from all other days. Okay? If you want to fast Friday, the Prophet said, either fast one day before it or after it. Don't set it apart is what I said. Okay? Don't set Friday apart from other days. Either fast Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday. Okay? If you're fasting the fast of Dawood, then that's fine. If you're fasting the fast of Dawood, every second week you're going to fast Friday, every second week you're going to fast Saturday. Okay? 1 week you're going to fast Friday, the other week you're going to fast Saturday. That's fine because you're following the fast of Dawood. The point is we shouldn't just say, today is Saturday, I'm going to fast, or today is Friday, I'm going to fast for no reason, like that. Now.
What if you did not get up before the time of the fard for fasting? Do you make intention when you wake up?
I think I answered this question. If you make one intention at the beginning of the month, that's fine. Even if you make an intention when you go to sleep that tomorrow I'm going to fast, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
How much physical contact can you have with your spouse during fasting? What are the boundaries?
These go back to the man himself and the woman herself. What does she feel or he feels is going to cause, them to go all the way, that if they go beyond this point, then they're gonna, do it actually. And if they do that, then there's a big sin is upon them. So it goes back to the man and his wife. Aisha said that the Prophet ﷺ used to kiss us while he was fasting, but then she added a phrase. She said, who amongst you can control his desires like the Prophet could? Okay? Who amongst you could do that? None of us can. Okay? So, if kissing your wife and fondling her and all of this is going to lead to more, right, then you should stop it where you know that's not going to go more than that. If you think that's going to lead to that, this is why some of the ulama, they say that young men should not even kiss their wives while fasting. Shouldn't even kiss them. Not because the Prophet says so or the Quran says so, but because it's going to lead to something which is prohibited. Okay? But apart from that, if you're talking about from a purely fiqh point of view, as long as no intercourse occurs, or the man does not have an ejaculation. Remember, suppose he's playing with his wife and he ejaculates. Does he have to do sin? Is he sinful or not? It's intentional. It's not unintentional. It is intentional. Because he is the one that's forcing it upon himself. Okay? Like if he's looking at pictures or he's doing something haram in the first place, and it doesn't matter how you do it. The point is you are intending to get pleasure. Okay? If while fondling or caressing his wife he has an ejaculation, automatically his fast is broken then. Okay? So this is a sin that will be upon him then, because he was the one that was causing this. So to answer this question, it goes back to yourself. But the point is you don't break your fast until actual penetration occurs or the man has an ejaculation. Madhi or pre-seminal fluid does not break the fast. According to the correct opinion of the scholars, it does not break the fast. Okay? But it's not encouraged for a man to get aroused anyway in a fast, because it might lead to worse than that. Now,
if you miss Fajr in Ramadan, does that mean your intention to fast is too late?
We answered this. If you miss Salat al-Fajr accidentally, it doesn't, you're not sinful and you can still fast the rest of the day. Because you had the intention to fast before the night. If you didn't have the intention to fast, now you're in trouble. So that's why, like for example, when the month of Ramadan comes, everyone should make an intention. I'm going to fast every day. So even if he oversleeps Fajr accidentally someday, okay, that's fine. Because he had the intention from the beginning that every day I'm going to fast. Okay. Obviously, delaying the prayer on purpose is sinful, but accidentally is beyond your control if you go to sleep. No.
If you finish your menstrual cycle 10 minutes before Fajr, and you plan on fasting that day and take a shower later, can you pray before taking a shower, or do you pray late?
You cannot ever pray before taking a shower. The prayer has to be after you take the shower. It is not allowed for the menstruating woman to pray until she finishes her blood and she takes a shower. Both factors have to be met. Okay? Her whitish fluid is discharged at the end of her hayd, and she has to take a shower. Until she takes a shower, she cannot pray. She is still in a state of janaba or impurity. So no, she cannot pray. She can start her fast, but she cannot pray Fajr. So, suppose she finished her hayd 10 minutes before Fajr, okay? So, she didn't take a shower until after Fajr time. Her fast is valid, but she cannot pray until she takes the ghusl, okay? So, she must take a ghusl. What's the latest she can take a ghusl till? Right before sunrise. Right before sunrise, the latest time of Fajr. She can delay ghusl until that time, take a ghusl and pray before the sunrise, and she is not sinful, okay? So, do the sisters understand? You don't need to have your ghusl before starting your fast. You do need to have ghusl before starting the prayer. Okay? Inshallah, I hope that's clear. Now,
when a Muslim brother knowingly had intercourse with a woman during Ramadan, but didn't know about the penalty until much later, does he have to fast for 2 months, or if he has already repented for sin and is aware of the penalty and will not do it again, is he excused for his previous ignorance?
Fatwa time. Go to an alim. That's a good question. It's a good question. Go to an alim. I don't want to say anything. No. It's already been answered, yeah. In some parts of the world, the day is very short for fasting, so should you fast with the day? Explain. I heard some countries have like 5 or 4 hours daytime, or 1 hour daytime. Well, to travel there in Ramadan is definitely a sin, in the sense that if you go there just to make your fast short, that you're playing, But those people that are living there, yes, they fast with the day. But the flip side of the coin, for example, in Norway and these countries, is that, for example, in December, their day might be literally, I met some guys from Norway in Jam Islamiyya, I talked to them, their day might be 3 hours long, 4 hours long. So they pray Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, and Maghrib within 3 hours or 4 hours of each other. Okay? But the flip side of the coin is, in June, July, 22 hours long. So basically, you have your suhoor, you have your iftar, then you have your suhoor, that's it. That's the flip side of the coin. Okay, and they have to do it according to their situation. So Allah has made them easy in certain times of the year and made it difficult in other times. So we thank Allah we're living in moderate zones, you know. It's an average zone. Now, if you are pregnant and then breastfeed the baby for 2 years, that means you will miss 2 months of fast before making up. If you get pregnant again and so on, how can you make up in that case? Again, wallahi, this is a good question, sisters, a very good question. And I was planning to ask an alim myself for this question, because a number of sisters asked me this, that repetitive, and I mean, this is not something, this happens, I know sisters that they get pregnant, the next year obviously, so that they don't fast. Then the next year obviously they're breastfeeding, okay? Next year they're pregnant again, next year they don't fast, okay? Maybe the next year they're pregnant again. So that's 6 years in a row, okay? So I wanted to ask an alim myself, and inshallah I do plan to when I go back to Medina, but this requires a fatwa, definitely is a good, valid excuse. Fatwa means a religious verdict, where an alim who is qualified to make a fatwa, not people that don't know the Quran and Sunnah and stand up giving khutbahs all the time, but people that are ulama, they have studied Islam, they are qualified to give a religious verdict or ruling on this case. Okay, I am not qualified to give fatwas. I'll email you inshallah. Or ask Shaykh Wali, see what he says. Okay, ask ask Shaykh Rashad and these guys, see what they say. And inshallah when I go back to Medina, I plan to ask Shaykh Shanqiti and other ulama also, inshallah.
But I mean, like, creation has done it already, but now you said the verse is for them to make it up.
If you're following that opinion, then move on with it then. No, just move on with it now then. For the next time, inshallah.
Is it required to have suhoor?
We did not talk about the sunan of fasting. Of the strongest sunan of fasting is to have suhoor. But it is not a shart. It is not a precondition of fasting. It is a strongly encouraged aspect of fasting that you should have a suhoor before the fast. The Prophet said, whoever does not perform suhoor, he is not of us. Meaning he has not perfected his iman. Okay? And he said the difference between us and the Jews and Christians is the suhoor. And he said the angels and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels, they send their blessings on him who does suhoor. Okay? Likewise, of the sunan is that we break our fast right after Maghrib. We don't delay 10, 20 minutes, half an hour. And this is like the Shias, they do this. Okay? Is that after Maghrib, they don't break their fast. Whereas the Prophet said the difference between us and the Jews is we break the fast at Maghrib. Okay? So right when the sun sets, right when the sun sets, this is obligatory on us to break the fast. There are other sunan of fasting. We didn't talk about the sunan of fasting because of time constraints. Now,
how do you know which things, if you did it unintentionally, you are forgiven, and other times you must expiate or make up?
By fiqh, you have to ask the alim. Some things when you do unintentionally, everything that you do unintentionally, you are not sinful for. Okay, you are not sinful for. But some things you have to give an expiation for. Okay, you understand the difference? Expiation means you have to do something in return for that. Okay, so everything that you do unintentionally, you didn't know that you did it, you are not sinful in the sight of Allah. You don't have sin that you have earned. But sometimes, for example, if you kill a person unintentionally, okay, suppose you're driving, and we seek Allah's refuge from ever falling into a situation, and we accidentally kill a person. Well, we are not sinful in the sight of Allah, but we still have to give a severe penalty, blood money, or fast 2 months, or free a slave, whatever. So basically, you have to go back to fiqh. Ask an alim, ask a person of knowledge, a student of knowledge, if you did something, whether you should pay an expiation for that or not.